Welcome to Jersey Matters. I'm Larry Mendte. The Newark water crisis is back in the news with allegations that the mayor and the administration in Newark withheld information from the public. We will talk with the Newark Water Coalition. Also on today's show, the millionaire's tax is back in the news, and a man who makes his living relocating companies says it'll be bad for New Jersey. Good news, if you want to buy an electric car, you may have some money coming to you. And we'll check in on how the wine industry is doing in New Jersey. And now our interview with Anthony Diaz, founder of the Newark Water Coalition. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
What is the Newark Water Coalition?
The Newark Water Coalition is an advocacy group made of activists around the city of Newark and New Jersey that are advocating on the behalf of residents for resources surrounding the lead crisis. So we do water distributions out of 2 churches in the city of Newark, and we also give out filters, and we do presentations across the state to educate residents on what's going on in the city of Newark.
Are you still needed? What I keep hearing is the crisis has been abated, the water is close to safe levels, they have a lot of money, they're going to redo the infrastructure. Everything seems good now.
Larry, we are needed more now than ever because the situation isn't that peachy clean. You know, we have a lot of issues in the city of Newark, and we have residents that still don't know that there's a lead crisis. We have residents that aren't in the positions to protect themselves, and they need education, and they need resources, and they need, government officials on their side.
There was a report out recently that the water levels have been tested. Some of the water was allowed to sit stagnant. They tested that water, and they found that it was exorbitantly high before with lead and other problems. And now it's close to federal levels. It's getting much, much better. Is that true?
So the situation is getting better, but it's not what the city is saying. So, if you look at the state's website, the Department of Environmental Protection, our lead levels are still at 33 parts per billion, which the federal standard is 15 parts per billion. So we're nowhere near.
More than double the federal standard. What was it before?
It was 57 parts per billion in the last series of testing.
At that point, the water was not safe to drink. Is it safe to drink now at 33?
It's not safe. There is no safe level of lead, Larry. And we stress that even though the federal government standards are 15, but we know, like the CDC has said, there's no safe level. We know that 15 number is kind of arbitrary in terms of lead poisoning, that once a child under 6 consumes any amount of lead, that it dramatically alters the course of their life.
There is money now available to fix this problem. They're going to go through and change some of the piping, right?
Yes.
Is that taking place now?
Yes.
Will that fix the problem?
So even with the lead replacement lines, they're doing whole line replacements, which we are very, very happy about. But what we're saying is, hey, you need to test these homes before and after. We need to make sure that just because you're telling someone, hey, we switched your pipes, are you all good? Are you safe to drink
Why
this
before and after? Why do you want that? Because if it's safe, right? Doesn't matter what it was?
So we need to know the lead levels, because you can still have, say if you have 1 part per billion or 2 parts per billion, you still don't want that. You still want to be using a filter. You still want to make sure that your family is safe, because one of the issues with just replacing the lead service line is you can still have lead fixtures in your home. And that can increase the lead amounts in your water. So just because you replace that one piece doesn't mean that you're safe. And what the city will say is, well, we did our part. We replaced that one line. Whatever's in your home, that really doesn't matter. But if you don't know what the lead result is after they replace the line, you don't know if you need to protect yourself or not.
The current mayor, is he handling it well?
I don't believe Ras Baraka is handling the situation well. I believe that, he could have came out of this looking like a superhero. He could have put pieces in place to really set the narrative and tone for other cities that are going through the same issue. And instead, for me, it's like he doubled down on what he believes is right. And as a result, people are hurting, people are suffering, and again, resources aren't making it into the hands of people.
You said a moment ago something that was fascinating that I had never heard before. You said a lot of people don't even know about the water crisis. How is that possible?
One of the things, if you went to the city of Newark and you walked around, you would be like, oh, there's no health crisis here. There's nothing going on. There's no situations. When we go out and canvass to people, I show people straight the DEP website. I'm saying, look at these numbers, look at these figures. And what often I hear is, well, the mayor says the water is fine, so I think everything is fine.
So the indictment is not on the media, because the media covered it, and the indictment is on the city for not going out and telling people?
I won't give the media a complete pass, Larry, but I will say that
let's stay with that for a second. Why not?
Starting from 2016, that this has been a problem. Even in 2017, we had a lead exceedance. Where was the media then? The media only jumped on board when the EPA got involved and said, hey, Newark, you have to start distributing bottled water. That's when everyone descended on us. And that's when everyone wanted to interview the Newark Water Coalition and residents. Every media station, every outlet, every newspaper was focused on this. And then shortly after, it went away.
I interviewed the Newark mayor right after you had to shut down some water fountains at some Newark schools because of high levels of lead. And when I asked him about it, he told me I had the whole story wrong. That it wasn't as bad as was reported, and that I was wrong, that schools had to take some dire action.
And what's interesting about the schools is some of the same schools in 2016 still had issues in 2019.
I just read a report that the city may have known about this in 2014.
Yes.
That they were notified in 2014. Has there been any accountability? Has anybody come in, maybe even the federal agency, to come in and say, let's go back to the beginning. How did this happen? Why wasn't it addressed?
No.
You'd love to see that, though.
I would love to see someone held accountable. I would love to say, this administration comes out and say, okay, we know that there was an issue, and as a result, we're bringing in some outside agencies. We're bringing in some, institutions that handle this kind of thing. We're reaching out back to Flint, Michigan, to make sure that, hey, they've been through this issue before, so how can we handle this issue better? But they're doing none of that. They're doubling down, and they're trying to sweep this under the rug, and they're making sure that voices like mine get minimized.
Well, it is improving, though. You have to give them that, right? It is improving, and there is a plan to go forward. Do you trust that plan?
I don't trust that plan because every plan that they have initiated thus far has not been executed at a high level. So it's like almost, trusting someone to take care of business for you, but they historically don't, they don't have the receipts for it. They don't have a history of taking care of business. They have a history of negligence. They have a history of incompetence. So when they tell me, hey, I have a plan going forward, it's like, can I really trust that plan? You say you're replacing the lead service lines at this astronomical rate, but do the people on that list know that there's a crisis? Do they know why you're replacing these lines? Are they educated? Are their families protected? Have they been tested? Have the homes been tested? And when I talk to city officials, the answer always is no.
So you feel as if they're trying to cover up the problem?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And you're not getting the federal help that you want right now?
No, we definitely are not getting the federal help that we want. We're not getting oversight on what's going on in the city of Newark. And this last article where, they believe that they're close to federal standards, to me, that's a big indictment on what they're doing. Because if they can't handle good information right, then what are they doing with the bad information? What are they doing with the information, period? Why isn't this so, there's no transparency here. That's another thing that I argue about. If you were doing the right thing, you would open your doors to everyone. You would allow people to come in and say, okay, we can criticize this program, or you could be doing this better, or you could be doing that better, but they don't do that. And so it's always, I always feel like we're in this David versus Goliath situation because the little resources that we get, we spread them out.
Well, I would think that there's federal agencies, and there's Congressman Payne, and there's Senator Menendez, and there's Senator Booker. I would think maybe now that Senator Booker's off the campaign trail, Newark was his city.
So we met with Cory Booker's office twice without Cory Booker, and I told his staffers, and I'll tell you the same thing, Larry. I said, this is very interesting that he's running a presidential campaign, his city's in a crisis, and he won't meet with the activists on the ground. We met with Congressman Payne twice. I met with Congressman Payne before the EPA came in, and I said, please, let's have a meeting with the mayor because we are having situations where there's, again, I always stress, there's resources that are not making it into the hands of the people, Congressman. And what he did was he dropped the ball. He never set the meeting up. And then I met with him afterwards, and I said, you were supposed to set this meeting up. We could have been in a position of power. We could have done great things going forward. But again, our elected officials are so sensitive that any criticism, anything that might challenge any power structure, they don't want to hear it.
Well, listen, we're way over time.
Oh,
Good
sorry.
luck to you. No. It was fascinating, and I hear your frustration, and I hope that maybe this helps a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. That's why we do things like this. That's why I like shows like this, because I think our story needs to be told. It's the story of Newark. It's not just the Water Coalition. It's the story of Newark.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anthony Diaz, co-founder of the Newark Water Coalition. Still to come, if the millionaire's tax passes, will it drive businesses out of New Jersey? We'll discuss when Jersey Matters continues.